Hi, welcome to the another exciting, thrilling bedtime story named Goddess of Fire. This all-time bedtime story, read aloud story for kids is about Aurelia, the goddess of fire, had been slumbering for centuries in her tomb, hidden away from the world. One day, a group of curious humans stumbled upon her resting place, and in their excitement, they disturbed her slumber. Aurelia slowly opened her eyes, feeling disoriented and confused. As she surveyed her surroundings, she realized that much had changed in the world since she had gone to sleep. The humans were initially frightened by the sight of the goddess, with her skin the color of molten lava and her hair like flames. However, Aurelia quickly reassured them that she meant no harm. She was curious about the world she had awakened in, and asked the humans to tell her what had happened while she slept. The humans were eager to share their knowledge with the goddess, and they told her of the wars, the natural disasters, and the societal injustices that had plagued their world. Aurelia listened intently, feeling a growing sense of sadness and empathy for the humans and their struggles. Aurelia knew that she had been asleep for far too long, and that the world needed her help. She decided to leave her tomb and set out on a journey to explore the world and use her powers to help those in need. The humans watched in awe as the goddess strode away, determined to make a difference in the world once again. As Aurelia walked, she felt her powers begin to stir within her. She had been asleep for so long that her magic had grown dormant, but now it was waking up once again. She could feel the heat emanating from her body, and she knew that she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With a determined step, Aurelia set out to explore the world, her fiery powers burning bright. She knew that her journey would be long and fraught with danger, but she was determined to use her strength and wisdom to help those in need, and to bring balance to the elements once again. As Aurelia traveled through the world, she could sense that something was amiss. The elements were in turmoil, and the world was experiencing a great upheaval. The balance of power between the elements had been disrupted, and the other elemental gods and goddesses were fighting amongst themselves. The humans were caught in the middle, struggling to survive amidst the chaos. Aurelia realized that she had to take action to restore balance to the elements and bring peace to the world. She began to seek out the other elemental gods and goddesses, hoping to convince them to put aside their differences and work together to restore order. She first encountered the god of water, who was embroiled in a fierce battle with the god of earth. Aurelia intervened and spoke to both gods, imploring them to stop their fight and join forces with her. After much discussion, they agreed to form an alliance and work together towards a common goal. Next, Aurelia sought out the god of air, who had been locked in battle with the goddess of lightning. The goddess of fire knew that this conflict could cause catastrophic damage, and she intervened once again, convincing both gods to put aside their differences and work together with her to restore balance to the elements. With the four elemental gods united, they began to survey the damage that had been wrought upon the world. The balance of power between the elements had been disrupted, and the forces of nature were out of control. The world was in chaos, and the humans were suffering. Together, the four elemental gods and goddesses devised a plan to restore balance. They would use their combined powers to create a great storm, a tempest that would bring all of the elements back into balance. The storm would rage across the world, extinguishing the fires that raged out of control, calming the raging waters, and soothing the winds. As the storm gathered strength, the forces that had disrupted the balance of power began to fight back. The demons of the underworld, who had been manipulating the elements, were furious that their plans were being foiled. They launched a full-scale attack against the four elemental gods, hoping to defeat them and take control of the elements once again. The war between the demons and the elemental gods was fierce and intense, with both sides suffering heavy losses. But the alliance of the four elemental gods was too strong, and they ultimately emerged victorious. The demons were banished to the underworld, and the elements were once again in balance. The world began to heal, and the humans rejoiced as the storms subsided and the elements returned to their natural state. Aurelia knew that the war had been won, but she also knew that the balance of power between the elements must be protected. She vowed to keep a watchful eye on the world and to use her powers to protect it from any future threats that might arise. As the war raged on, Aurelia felt the weight of the battle on her shoulders. She had never faced such a formidable enemy before, and the stakes were high. She knew that if she and her allies failed, the world would be plunged into darkness and chaos. One day, as Aurelia was leading her troops into battle, she saw a flash of light in the distance. She looked up and saw the phoenix soaring high above the battlefield. Aurelia knew that the phoenix was a powerful ally and a sign of hope, and she rallied her troops to follow it. The phoenix led Aurelia and her allies through the most treacherous parts of the battlefield, burning away the darkness with its fiery breath. It seemed to be leading them towards a great source of power, and Aurelia could feel the strength of the phoenix flowing through her. Finally, they arrived at the heart of the enemy's stronghold. The phoenix landed on a great stone altar and burst into flames, setting the entire structure ablaze. The enemy forces were caught off guard, and Aurelia and her allies were able to strike a decisive blow. The enemy began to retreat, and Aurelia and her allies pursued them. As they chased the enemy forces into the mountains, Aurelia saw the phoenix rising again in the distance. It circled high above the mountains, spreading its wings and letting out a piercing cry. Aurelia knew that this was a sign that the battle was won. In the days and weeks that followed, Aurelia and her allies worked tirelessly to restore balance to the world. They repaired the damage caused by the war and helped those who had been affected by it. And Aurelia knew that she had the phoenix to thank for their victory. She vowed to never forget the power of the phoenix, and to always use her powers for good.